After getting rejected by Lionel Messi, Saudi Arabia has made an offer to another soccer superstar that may be too good to refuse. The Saudi club Al Hilal proposed a world record $332 million transfer fee to bring Kylian Mbappé over from Paris Saint-Germain. The club would then pay him a one-year salary of worth $776 million. That's, as we've said, $24 every second. That's more than LeBron James's NBA career earnings and Tiger Woods' PGA Tour earnings combined, according to the media company Front Office Sports. Joining us now to discuss the business of soccer is Michael Goldberg. He's the Senior Vice President of Sports Finance for DBRS Morningstar, a global credit ratings business. So is Mbappe worth all this money?
Well, it's tough to say. I mean, I think in North America, sometimes we don't recognize just how popular these soccer players are. I mean, Mbappe is 24 years old and he has over 100 million Instagram followers, almost as many as LeBron James. So having a player of that quality and caliber and popularity brings a lot of eyeballs to wherever he goes. We just saw, you mentioned Lionel Messi going to Inter Miami. Within one day of signing with Inter Miami had more Instagram followers than any NFL team does. So bringing a player of that size and caliber certainly will bring a lot of viewership.
And so you've mentioned Instagram followers and social media. So how much of this is the changing world of soccer as life becomes more global, as life becomes more connected, that's a part of these increasingly larger salaries?
Well, I mean, I think the Saudi Pro League has publicly wants to become, one of the top 10 leagues in the world. And one way of doing that is by bringing big names there. I think the sustainability of that is a little bit questionable. I mean, paying Mbappe $750 million for 1 year, if he just leaves after 1 year, I mean, do those eyeballs stay there? Probably not. So they would have to keep investing in players of that caliber for a number of years in order to increase the popularity of the league. I think, the MLS has used a similar strategy in the US. They brought players over in the twilights of their careers, David Beckham, Wayne Rooney, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. But I think most of the success recently in the MLS is because they've generated a lot of interest amongst the younger generation in the US and Canada. And that's increased the quality of play in the US and increased the overall product on the field. So, and I think that's what you need in order to rise in the global ranks in terms of popularity in soccer.
Do you have any sense of what it's like from the players' end of this? What it's like to be a human in a world where this much money is being thrown at you, or where this is the future that you might be able to access?
I mean, I wish I could imagine, but I certainly can't. But I mean, yeah, it's a heck of a lot of money. I mean, Mbappe will make tens of millions of dollars no matter where he goes. But $750 million is generational wealth, and certainly anyone would have to consider an offer of that size.
Sure. Michael Goldberg, Senior Vice President of Sports Finance for DBRS Morningstar. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.